Well, I'm Randy Miller, and this is retired Sheriff Richard Mack. We're going to do an interview on the Constitution Minute as far and for the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, CSPOA. Sheriff Richard Mack is the president and founder of the organization. And we're here to talk about Arizona, what we're experiencing here in Arizona. But first, let's talk about an event that's coming up with CSPOA. Welcome, Sheriff Mack. Thanks for coming and joining me. What would you tell us about your event and why we need to pay attention to this?
Well, thanks, Randy. Appreciate you having me on. And I will tell you, I think this is the most important we've had in the most important meeting that we've had in America since the Constitutional Convention. And I'm not saying that because I'm in charge of it. I'm actually not in charge of it. The sheriffs, several sheriffs in Virginia, got tired of fighting their Hitleric governor. First it's gun control, then it's red flag laws, and then it's coronavirus, and it just keeps going with this guy. And this is the very governor who said it was okay to kill babies who survive an abortion, and that, you know, go ahead and make the baby comfortable and then make sure it dies. And you would think that the people of Virginia would get rid of him right then and there when he advocates for murder, you know, and you had to know that was coming. But this governor is so out of touch with freedom, what America is all about, what our Constitution is all about. And the degradation of our Constitution is the biggest problem we have in America today. No, it is not the coronavirus. And so we're having a meeting September 30th. I know it's late notice, but we're still getting sheriffs calling us every day. We had 2 or 3 yesterday. We've had 2 or 3 today that still want to be to that event. You know, it's going to be first come, first serve. We're not even taking registration. I will tell you this, if you get your sheriff there, we will pay for his hotel room. So we already have Sheriff Mark Lamb coming. He's also going to be a speaker. And we have sheriffs from California, Nevada, Utah, not yet, but we hope to, Idaho. We have sheriffs, several from Texas. We have several from Michigan, Ohio, Florida, and a lot from Virginia. we hope West Virginia also. We have Sheriff Carpinelli coming from New York. You're definitely going to want to hear him. But folks, how do we solve all of today's problems? Who do the people have to turn to when government becomes oppressive, venile, and tyrannical, out of control? Is there anyone that the people can turn to when for peace, safety, and protection when government's completely out of control? You know, folks, if you want to keep this peaceful, the people have to have somebody to turn to. Otherwise, they're left to themselves and they're left frustrated. And that's when things become violent. The CSPOA, the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, never has and never will advocate violence. But if we don't adhere to the Constitution and we recklessly destroy what made America great in the first place, then people are going to get violent. It's a natural reaction for people who are yearning to breathe free. And that brings me to the next point. Aren't you sick and tired of being forced to wear a mask yet? Do you know that no government official in this country, and I guarantee you, Governor Ducey has no authority whatsoever to force anyone in this state to wear a mask or to shut their business down or to stay away from family and friends. You know, the destruction of liberty, is that the price we're paying for doing what? Trying to get rid of a coronavirus that right now even the worst statistic of the coronavirus shows that we have a 99% chance of surviving this. And we're
Yes.
destroying America, and we're destroying what made us great, and we're destroying individual liberty, and we're destroying our Constitution for a 1% chance of getting the coronavirus.
And that 1% chance is even minimized if they would not interfere with the doctor-patient privilege of prescribing hydroxychloroquine.
Absolutely. You know what? If the president of the United States can use it, so can I. And so no, we've got to wake up before it's too late. I really think that government has learned, even the Democrats have learned, that shutting down was a mistake and destroying our economy was a mistake. But they're still trying other stuff that's almost as bad. I hope they've all learned that lesson. It appears that they have. But look at the state in America that didn't shut down and doesn't force people to wear a mask, South Dakota. Shouldn't we all be trying to be like South Dakota? Oh my gosh.
And wasn't it Switzerland as well that did not, or
I
Sweden,
think it
one
was
of the
Sweden.
other, Sweden?
Was it Sweden or yeah, one of those Scandinavian countries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and look at Hawaii. Hawaii is literally destroying itself. It's literally destroying paradise, completely run by leftists and progressives and radical liberals. And they're literally shutting this place down and destroying it. And people in Hawaii who used to have jobs no longer have jobs. The money is running out from the government taking care of people. So is anybody in government accepting responsibility for juvenile delinquency that's been going on, for domestic assaults, for child abuse, and for suicide? Is anybody in government accepting responsibility for that horrible catastrophe they're causing by all these Hitleric rules? I've already done one Zoom call out of Honolulu, and I'm going to do another one, hopefully with more public officials and peace officers and maybe somebody from the chief of police office. You know what? This is completely wrong. And for government to try to use these peace officers as Nazi soldiers who don't care about abusing the citizens and destroying Hawaii, you know, somebody needs a wake-up call in Hawaii.
They need a wake-up call across the nation.
Absolutely.
Getting back to your event.
Even where we're from, Arizona, they need a
Yes.
wake-up call there.
We do. Your event was called on by the sheriffs in Virginia, was it not?
That is correct.
What is the you got sheriffs coming from all over the country. What is the theme and what is the urgency of them coming together? What is it they're trying to accomplish?
One, I think they're trying to be unified as sheriffs across the country so that we're all on the same page. That one, we support freedom of religion, and that we will not violate that principle ever again. Two, that we will work together to combat the coronavirus and any other social disease or ill in society today, but we will not destroy liberty while we're after it. I think those are the two key things, and they still want a unification of sheriffs on defending the Second Amendment. And I think those three things are key to the whole kit and caboodle. You know, the flyer says the county sheriff, America's Last Hope. Well, that's the title of my book, and it's nice. And the people that put together that flyer wasn't even me. I like the title, but I think it's really simply Save America. You know, America is dying. Our Constitution is dying. And we're watching this communist takeover of our country with the BLM and the Antifa groups and all the horrible violence. And look at how accepted such violence and murder and sexual assaults have been condoned by a lot of our liberal leaders in this country. All their liberal leaders are showing me is that what they espouse does not work, and that they are not who we want leading America.
Correct. In fact, they're even calling them peaceful protest, and they're justifying the breaking and entering into an individual's business as an expression of their frustration in the protest, instead of a violent burglary and breaking and entering.
Astonishing stuff. In fact, CNN had a huge fire in a building in the background of the story they were running. And he said, fiery, but mostly peaceful.
Yeah, it's absurd.
That's the idiocy we're dealing with today. No wonder Trump is so frustrated with these people. They're such liars and hypocrites. And well, Nancy Pelosi's not a hypocrite. I saw her at that salon, and she did in the salon exactly what I do. So she's on my side now. Yay, yes, Nancy.
But you're not demanding that people wear a mask.
No, but yeah, that's why I was doing that tongue in cheek when I said, you know, what I mean, I really like the doctor that said, "Oh, gee, another hypocrite in Washington." Well, what do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of breed there.
Yeah.
Getting to Arizona, I think we're kind of an example of a typical liberal-run state and government, but we're supposed to be Republican. When we look at the constitutionality of it, you said that the governor has no authority to mandate that a citizen wear a mask, or to mandate that dictate to a business that their customers have to enter their store with a mask, or they're going to lose their license. The interesting thing is our state constitution under Article 3 clearly says that each branch of government cannot operate outside of their responsibilities or take the responsibility of another branch.
Right.
And that means that the legislature can't even delegate lawmaking authority to the governor, which is exactly what they've done. So I think, you know, we are in a constitutional crisis, because it makes no difference to anybody anymore in office, it appears.
No, it doesn't. And when you said he had no authority, you and I have talked about that before, and it's absolutely true. He does not. The first thing they're going to say, or that Ducey's going to say, is, "I have emergency powers." Yeah, he does. In those powers, within those powers, he still has no authority to destroy individual liberty, our economy, or anyone's business. He has none of that. Now, if he wants to declare some state of emergency, he can. And then he can try to convince us all how we need to cooperate with him. And if there's some other, you know, like if there's a bridge that's washed out somewhere, he can require that we not cross that bridge till it gets fixed. But he cannot tell us we must suspend our liberty till we get rid of the coronavirus. He has no authority to do that. And for him not to understand that shows that we elected the wrong person last election for governor.
Well, emergency powers are originally intended to maintain government operations during time of crisis. It doesn't grant executive authority over the people, which is what you're talking about. His executive authority extends to the operations of the governments under his control, the agencies. Right. He can direct them, but he does not have any executive authority over the people or these businesses. You talked about the closing of businesses. Well, these businesses entered into a contract with government because they followed all the guidelines and requirements to open a business, and then the government then extended to this business the right or the opportunity to operate, even though they have it under the Privileges and Immunities Clause, to operate their business, and extended them a license. and a business license is what this. So that's kind of a contract between that business owner and the government. And for him to come in and violate that contract is a violation of the Constitution under Article 2, Section 225 of the Arizona Constitution that says the legislature cannot make law that infringes on contracts. Well, that's exactly what he did. Not to mention that he took property, a violation of the Fifth Amendment, where he took over these people's property without due process. This whole thing, I've been talking about this for a long time, and I think the remedy is civil disobedience. People need to open their business and then tell and enforce him to act. Okay, are you going to literally? Are you going to arrest people and pull all these licenses and throw us into a further economic crisis and violate all the rights and civil liberties and civil rights of these business owners?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's coming to a point where the people need to make some sort of statement and action on their own, because if not, our compliance continues to be adhering to his directives without resistance.
Yeah, it almost seems like an endorsement of what he's done, and you're right. We need to do that, and it's really sad we don't have a sheriff in Maricopa County that can meet with the other chiefs of police in the other cities and say, look, we need to get on the same page here, and we need to not be enforcing these ridiculous Hitleric coronavirus executive orders. And you would think that a Democrat like Paul Penzone would want to stand against the Republican governor and make hay for himself that way. But Penzone is such as a hide behind the desk sheriff that I wonder if he even gets any understanding at all that his oath of office means anything. But a true leader in the sheriff's office, which I hope very soon is Jerry Sheridan, a true leader in that office would be meeting with the other sheriffs in the state and coming up with a plan, and meeting with the chiefs of police and the highway patrol and saying, look, this is how this should be. The people of Maricopa County have the right to liberty, and they have the right to make their own choices. And whether or not that these people put on a mask to go somewhere is their choice. And the rest of the problem, we admit readily that individual liberty can get a little messy sometimes. Well, so be it. Let it. But tyranny is a lot messier and a lot worse. And so the true leadership would be, I've taken an oath to the Constitution. I really hope that people will wear a mask, but we will not force you to do so. And wearing a mask is your responsibility and your choice. Government has no business being involved in that process.
Correct. Did you see any exemptions on any of our civil liberties when it comes to like the Bill of Rights? Are there exemptions in there that says, well, if the government determines that this is a crisis, we can suspend them until we decide you get them back? Did you see those?
In fact, it's quite the opposite. There's never a time that you get to suspend liberty. But I really like the court, was it in South Carolina, where some ministers sued, and the court actually said exactly what you said, that there is no pandemic exception for liberty. And they were specifically saying religious liberty. But it applies to all of them.
It does.
And isn't this, how crazy can you get? At the beginning of this pandemic, what was the first thing they tried to do? Confiscate guns. I mean,
yeah.
Is there any shame in this? And let me add this too. At the beginning of this pandemic, the CDC and other doctors were saying everybody should be taking vitamin C. You should be getting vitamin D. And I'll add to that because I've done some research on this with Dr. Ed Group and Dr. Batar. You should also be taking iodine in its natural state, and zinc. And so I take vitamin C, zinc, iodine, and vitamin D, and vitamin B12, and it's really working, and feels, my wife and I feel great taking this, and we take it every day. But why did they go from suggesting everybody take these vitamins that really build up the immune system to any virus. To, you better wear a mask, and we're trying to get you these forced vaccinations really soon, and you better stay away from people, and you better close your business. You know, when you look at all the horrible things that have happened, you have to quote from the Bible and say this part: an enemy hath done this. And it sure looks like it.
Yes.
First of all, a friend of mine would never try to disarm me, and a friend of mine would never shut my business down, and a friend of mine would not arrest me for going to church, and would not arrest me for not wearing a mask. Aren't you part of the people who when they go to New York, and I always go to the Statue of Liberty every time I go to New York, but I won't go there now because of the dictator Hitler they have there. But correct me if I'm wrong, Randy. Bring us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free.
Yes.
Boy, you can't do that in America anymore, can you?
No,
Well,
you can't.
I'm going to breathe free.
Not without being persecuted for having a belief different than the minority that's out there now. The minority seems to be screaming the loudest and controlling the majority, and we allow it. It's the most craziest thing. I wanted the newest executive order that Ducey came out. Are you familiar with that? He just did a couple days ago.
What was it? Remind me.
He changed the mandatory reporting requirements of medical facilities to now include flu, and he wants to have. It used to be he was just wanting the numbers of people that they had in their room in their facilities.
Well,
now he wants to know.
Is he making a commission on that or something, Randy?
It's an executive. Yeah, he did. His one lady that's part of the state health department. And now they're requiring, they want to know not just the numbers, but they want to know the name, date of birth, address, and phone number of everyone that tests positive in their facility. And it includes the flu. So my concern is there's much more to this than they're wanting to let on. First, it was just they wanted to slow the curve.
Yeah.
Now they're mandating masks, which has been shown not to be effective. And I've seen people wearing such a silly little thing as almost like cheesecloth. What is that going to stop? You know, gnats get through those.
Well, I've seen two epidemiologists. Anyway, two medical doctors that are into viruses big time, and both of them wrote. Their numbers were a little bit different, but basically the same, that the mask that everybody's wearing blocks something, and ultimately they compared it to a chain link fence blocking mosquitoes. Yeah. And he says that's what every one of your masks are doing. And they don't keep out because the coronavirus is a 0.004 size, and that those go right through masks.
Yeah, yes, I saw that too. There's a lady that actually teaches. She's a private contractor for OSHA, and she's on my website. I got her video there because they take them down. I wonder why that is too. But she was saying that these doctors don't even have the training for PPE, personal protective equipment on their faces, that they get training from her group, because it's a specialized profession, just the requirements for PPE. And she was saying that the reason doctors can wear them as long as they can is because the hospital rooms, the surgery rooms, are specifically designed for airflow, oxygen levels, and all this that allows compensation for the people wearing these masks.
Yeah. And normally I don't get into the efficacy of wearing a mask because something wrong?
No, I had to just plug in. Sorry.
So I don't usually get too much into the efficacy of masks because I'm not a scientist, and really the bottom line is I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't have the authority to tell me to do it in the first place. So don't tell me how great it is to wear one or how horrible it is not to wear one. The
Correct.
thing of it is, in my Supreme Court case, Judge Roll said, statistical analysis does not equate to constitutionality. So, you can't tell me that a roadblock is constitutional because you caught 300 DUIs that night. What, if you catch only 2 or 3, it's unconstitutional? No. Statistical analysis or the benefit of a law does not make it constitutional. You could tell me it protects everybody in the country and that we're lowering the curve, as you alluded to. If it lowers the curve, it doesn't make it constitutional. And that's where we've missed the boat, I believe, in this whole discussion. I like to see all the information on the mask because I think every American should look at it and do their own research and see if it's a good idea and then tell everybody else, I'm not wearing it. It's not a good idea. It doesn't help my health. In fact, it hurts my health. And I'm not going to force my children to do this. But we can settle the whole argument first. You got to ask, does government have the authority to do this? If
They
the answer
don't.
is no, it doesn't matter how great the mask is. It doesn't matter how bad it is, because government has no authority.
The Declaration of Independence, second paragraph, lays out specifically where government power comes from, who established the government, and it's also in the just about every state constitution. I was just reading Washington's, I think it was Washington State Constitution, has the same provision in their very first article. Yeah. Ours is Article 2, Section 2. If we want to talk about constitutionality of things, it's very simple to analyze where does the power come from. It says all political power is inherent in the people. The power to make laws comes from us, not from Doug Ducey or the legislature. That is on loan to them from us.
And you would think Doug Ducey would be catching on to some of this because KFYI rips him a new one every day. And why wouldn't he call in and say, hey, you guys, why do you keep calling me Lord Ducey? And why do you keep assailing what I'm doing as governor? You know what? That's the biggest radio talk show in Arizona. And you would think that they're expressing a lot of views from a lot of us. And why doesn't Ducey ever respond?
Because he doesn't care.
He doesn't have to.
He doesn't care. He's in his last term. He's already stated that he is not relinquishing any of the power that he's been given. He came out and publicly said that about 2 months ago. Said, I'm not giving up his power.
He needs to go back to making ice cream cones. I heard he was good at that.
Well, I don't know if he was. He might have been good at actually making the ice cream, but he had 7 lawsuits against his friend from franchisees against him before he left. That might be why. I don't know if he left for that reason or not, but there were some issues with that as well. So I think we're seeing a translation here of some of the lawsuits that I read. What he's doing in the governorship kind of is what he was doing in the business world. But it's not something that, if political power comes from the people, where do they think they can just do what they want? What are your thoughts on his granting or passing the responsibility to local jurisdictions to decide if they want to do mask or not? Like Maricopa County, all the counties and cities now have their independence to determine mask policy, when that's an authority of the state to maintain uniformity and harmony. The state controls those issues, like marriage licenses. Well, are we going to give them the authority to do that now? The governor has no authority to do that. But look at the problems we're having.
I agree with the small town of Eager and their mayor. He said, we don't have the authority to do this, and we're not going to. Wow. One mayor standing up and doing what's right. And I know there's others, but too many of them went along. And I think Ducey's abdication of that to the cities and counties was just carte blanche for all of them to jump on board. And no, he should have done the same thing and met with all of them, and told them, look, but Ducey's on the wrong side of the law here. And the rule of law is what we're discussing. The rule of law. Do our politicians and our leaders have to follow the rule of law or not?
They
And
do.
I've had it up to here with Ducey. I've had it up to here with the degradation of our Constitution, the destruction of American liberty, and that Ducey could find himself on that side really startles me. You know, I voted for him twice. I voted for him because I was really worried about the alternative, but I never saw Ducey do anything this unconstitutional and this dictatorial. And I'm shocked at what's going on in Arizona and our country. I'm praying for our country. I pray that we will heal our hearts and heal our land and get back to those fundamental principles that America was founded upon.
I agree. Well, real quick, could you give some specifics on the CSPOA Sheriff's event in Virginia? Where is it located? When is it? Is it open to anybody?
It is, if a citizen wants to come, they have to get their own travel, own hotel room, and make a donation when they arrive to help pay for all of this, because the sheriffs are free. And any sheriff that contacts me, I'll have the CSPOA pay for his hotel room. If he needs help with airfare, we've got a couple of people trying to help with that too. But the main thing is everybody should contact your sheriff and still try to get him there to Lynchburg, Virginia, all day, September 30th. So if any of them are from out here, New Mexico and Arizona, they must get there on the 29th because we start at 9 a.m. sharp. And again, this is a very vital meeting for the unification of sheriffs and defending liberty across America. And I really think this is going to be the biggest event that the CSPOA has ever had in our 11-year history. And it could be the biggest meeting we've ever had in America since the Constitutional Convention. I'm serious about that. The threat against our liberty is just as real as it was in 1776, or even more so today. And so we encourage everybody, get a hold of your sheriff. Other public officials are welcome as well. Any cop, any patrol officer, you're all welcome. So
Is there a website?
just go to cspoa.org and you can see all the information there, or email me off the CSPOA email, or email me at sheriffmack@hotmail, sheriffmack@hotmail, and I'll send you a flyer. But this is worth, like a sheriff yesterday said from Maryland told me, it's late notice, but I'm rearranging my schedule and I will be there, because that sheriff knows how important this is and what's going on in his state. And he wants an answer, and he wants a solution, and he wants the training. And so everybody, wake up, get your sheriff there on September 30th. Oh,
Now, people
Liberty
can donate.
University.
What is that?
And they at Liberty University. We're restoring liberty at Liberty University in
Okay.
Lynchburg, Virginia.
Very good.
So yeah, anybody who wants to, oh, please help. Yes, please donate at cspoa.org, any amount you want, and please help us pay for this whole thing.
And becoming a member, anybody can become a member of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers. You do not have to be a retired or active sheriff or law enforcement officer, correct?
Yeah, thank you for adding that. Thank you. Yes, this really is a coming together and working together with citizens and sheriffs and public officials. As Jefferson said, if the people are not involved in protecting liberty, it won't happen. We, the people, are the most important part of our government, and we must be eternally vigilant. So, yes, everybody should be joining the CSPOA and helping us with this great meeting on September 30th.
And you just completed a constitutional online Constitution Academy, did you not?
Yes, we did, and people can still sign up for that. It's a 6-week course and has a little homework to it, but everybody can take that at cspoaclass.com.
Okay.
cspoaclass.com.
Okay, and I appreciate your given me the honor of being the Arizona State Director. And my responsibility is I do as much as I can to teach the Constitution, this little book here. It's very short, and we study that, and we take the Constitution in context to what's happening today, much of our discussion today. And I do Constitution Tuesdays, the second Tuesday of every month, where we discuss this. My group is about 50 people, and I'm encouraging them to become members of the CSPOA because, as you said, we are in a battle to stop what is, in my perception, a constitutional crisis. It is falling into the shredder with our elected officials, and we have to restore that. And I do believe seriously that CSPOA is one of the top organizations to help do this. You are doing a wonderful job at pulling together our law enforcement agencies throughout the country.
Yeah.
And this is so important. And we are working together as individuals to help get Jerry Sheridan elected to sheriff. But getting back to the CSPOA, if people watching this, please go to CSPOA.org. There are different memberships you can get, and there's benefits. You get books, certain levels of membership. If you want to explain that real quick, you can. But any membership is necessary to help support and fund these activities like going on the 30th of September.
Right. Whatever anybody can do, that's what we need. And the founding fathers said we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. We have to do the same today. We don't want your fortune. We want you to still be able to pay your bills and live in your home. But whatever you can donate, no matter how much, if you can donate 10,000, do it. If you can donate $10, do it. But everybody should be a part of this. I can't afford to run this with my own money. I'm a school teacher. That's what I do for a living. And then I have another full-time job, and that's the CSPOA. So everybody get on board. Everybody pull your weight in this holy cause of liberty. And thank you for that, Randy. And thanks for having me on your show today.
You're welcome. We'll do it again soon. Is this event going to be recorded and sold later?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. We'll keep people up to date on that. And that's at CSPOA.org to find out more information and make a donation.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Richard. I hope to see you again real soon. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you, folks.